Hello, it's me, Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to speak a little bit about a payment method or a payment plan that some of us seem to be a little bit embarrassed about or even ashamed to speak about it. Some of us can't even utter the word lay buying because we're so afraid that somebody's going to judge us to think that, ooh, she can't even afford those sneakers, ooh, she couldn't even afford this bed, she had to lay buy it. But the reality is that lay buying might just be better than buying things on credit. Now remember, whenever we speak about credit, we speak about the good credit and the bad credit. And usually on the bad credit side, we always allocate those things that you don't necessarily need and the things that are not really backed up by any type of an asset. So we always say if it's not a house or if it's not a car, if it's not necessarily an asset, it therefore should not be bought on credit, right? But how possible is it to buy everything cash whenever you need it? Truth is, it's not always possible. So there are options, and options that we shouldn't even be ashamed of. Options like lay buying. Remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who's registered with the FSCA and is a certified financial advisor. So let's go back to that example of actually buying on credit. You see, the thing about credit is that it's great. It feels amazing. It's literally a swipe of a card, whether it's a credit card or whether it's your clothing account or account card, right? It feels like you've literally done the deed. You walk away out of that shop or wherever it is that you're buying with whatever it is that you needed. One, you satisfy your emotions and you feel like a big hero because, wow, I've just got a pair of brand new sneakers, or wow, I've just bought myself the cutest couch that will look so nice in my house against my TV stand. But what you really do forget is the fact that you are still going to pay for that specific item, and not only that item, you're also going to end up paying the interest that you get charged. So you literally get charged the penalty of wanting that thing now. That's what happens. Let me give you a practical example. If you bought something at, let's say for instance, 3,000 Rand. So if the purchase tag or the price tag is 3,000 Rand, let's say it's a new coffee table that you want to buy. It's 3,000 Rand. Then the salesman comes to you and says, don't worry, you can pay this over 36 months at 280 Rand. And you're sitting there thinking, just 280 Rand? I've got 280 Rand, so I'm definitely opting to buy it on credit. You buy it at 280 Rand. After 36 months, you would have paid 10,080 Rand. For a coffee table that was 3,000 Rand, you will end up paying 10,080 Rand. And within 3 years, which is 36 months, you probably want to buy a new coffee table because now all of a sudden, the coffee table doesn't match any of your curtains. The coffee table does not match the TV stand. And that is what credit actually looks like. And a lot of us never really think about it. But what then is lay buying? And is that an actual option? Before we move to lay buying, let's speak about interest-free accounts. There are instances where the clothing shops or furniture shops will offer you, or even food shops now offer, they will offer you an interest-free card or an interest-free credit card. And you're able to buy on credit provided that you pay within those 6 months. It's usually 6 months and nothing more, right? So you need to make sure that you now settle this thing at the 6 months when it's still interest-free. The moment you cross over to the 7th month, the interest rate that they charge you on that thing is absolutely ridiculous. But what about lay buying? Lay buying is an option. It shouldn't even be something that you're ashamed of. Lay buying basically means that if something is 3,000 Rand and you're saying, I'm unable to buy it at 3,000 Rand now, but I can pay 3 installments and I'll be able to have that thing, then the shop, what it does is to create an agreement with you, a lay-buy agreement, to say, this is what you are buying, you're buying it within 3 months, and only after you've paid it off in 3 months can you then take it home and you can proudly say you've bought it cash. Because that's basically what it is. Lay buying is actually buying things cash just on a longer period of time. The one thing you need to definitely remember is the fact that lay buying is interest-free. In other words, you are never going to pay any interest on whatever it is that you buy on a lay buy, right? But you need to make sure that any shop that you walk into where you are able to lay buy, make sure that their lay buying policy is in alignment with the Consumer Protection Act. Because if it's not, you will not be protected by the Consumer Protection Act. The other thing that you need to be very wary of is reading through that lay-buy agreement policy, understanding what it is that you are buying, which like literally which model, which color, so that when you now settle, you're not hit by surprises and they tell you that item is now out of stock. They need to also take on the responsibility of putting aside that specific product that you have now bought. The other thing you need to make sure is that on that lay-by policy or on that lay-by agreement, there is a full information of who you are and who you're buying from, what it is that you're buying, but also the cancellation policy. Because what happens if now, after a month or two, you decide you no longer want to buy that item, or you actually cannot afford to buy it anymore? Then what you need to do is to make sure that the lay-by cancellation policy will then kick in. The CPA says, according to IOL Finance, that they cannot charge you more than 1% of the purchase price of that specific items, but that obviously has terms and conditions attached to it. So make sure that you do actually understand what the cancellation policy is there. And in actual fact, the onus is on the shop owner or whoever is granting you this lay-by to make sure that they too explain the cancellation policy for you. So remember, buying on credit always seems and feels great. But if you're going to pay 10,080 Rand on an item that was 3,000 Rand just because you're taking 36 months to pay it, it might just be a little bit more worth it to save up and pay it off maybe in 3 months rather using a lay-by. Mwah.